Pickup order this morning. They would need a judge to sign it so that officers could take the man to a mental health facility.
Hey Dave, we know police have finally blocked off this section of road, and so that's why you see these people standing there with their hands in the air. Just a few moments before we got back on camera, we saw this guy yelling and angry about the recent Betty Shelby verdict, and as you can see, he's actually back in the street now. He's the man, the lady's pulling his shirt right now, so he's definitely very angry, asking why the police didn't use something like a taser or mace or pepper balls. Why did it have to be a lethal force situation? So we've seen several instances like this where we've had people standing in the middle of the street yelling at officers, and in some cases even threatening officers. So the street is open and the crowd is starting to move into the middle of the road. As you may have remembered in our earlier segments where we spoke to you, there were deputies lining the streets closest to some of the protesters across the street, but they have since backed up a little bit farther into the parking lot, but they are still definitely on guard, watching everything closely. We still have those officers and other law enforcement out here in their riot gear and their shields. So still everything is continuously evolving around here, with people still being angry, temperatures flaring, and I'm going to see if Woodsy can turn over here to our left a little bit. We see Tulsa police just brought in a mobile command center. You actually see additional police cars coming into the area, and I don't know if you can hear, all of a sudden the voices have gotten louder with people yelling. Not quite sure if that's in response to the huge additional police presence that's shown up or what, but you can look again back into the middle of the road. This man right here in this white shirt is very angry, to the point where someone is having to hold him back because they're saying, even though these emotions are high, they're still fearful that police could take it as a threat and potentially even cause harm to the people in the street. But as I mentioned before, police have been very calm. They're standing there on guard, but there hasn't been any back and forth. Police haven't really said anything. They're just kind of standing there watching as all of this unfolds. Again, I just want to replay the scene for you. You have people still standing on every single corner of this scene. You have the crime scene tape that's still up, and you have a large police presence that is continuously growing out here. So definitely it's totally a continuously evolving situation out here. I'm just looking around to see if there's anything else. It's been kind of coming and going in spurts, where you get those huge expressions of emotion and those huge moments of anger where people are really being vocal about everything. But we're going to look back into the middle of the street, and you can see more people have shown up with their hands up. You know, you may be familiar with the saying, hands up, don't shoot. This is what they're referencing, and continuously throughout the day, they've been referencing the Terrence Crutcher verdict with Officer Betty Shelby. So tensions are still very high, with that just being only a few weeks ago where the jury came down with that decision. So we're not sure how all of this is going to continue, but we can expect to be here quite a bit longer with that mobile command center arriving, and you see these police cars driving through the scene. So more officers are coming, and we are not seeing anybody leaving. So definitely going to be out here for quite a while. And we will stand out here and continue to just keep giving you updates of how all of this continues to unfold. Back to you, Dave.
Ready? I'm there right now. Y'all know that big giant shit?
Say that again.
Again, those of you just joining us, you are looking at live pictures coming in from Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is the news that we're getting from our Fox station there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We know that the individual in this situation has died. Tulsa police officers involved in a shooting after reports that a man was armed with 2 large knives. That man went into a business there, a convenience store. According to Fox in Tulsa, the man was tased and then shot by police and hospitalized. He died of his injuries there at the hospital. This is the 5th officer-involved shooting in 2017 and the 2nd in June. Now, police say they were serving a civil pickup order on a man with mental disabilities. Again, this interaction with police started early this morning when deputies went to a house to serve that civil pickup order. It was a mental health pickup order, and a judge would have to sign it so that officers could take this man to a mental health facility. That's when the man walks out to the convenience store armed with 2 knives. Police received a few calls about him. Police say deputies and the officer shot the man as he tried to enter the store because there were people inside that store. That man was 29 years old. As you can see, there was a large crowd gathered at the scene, many people wondering why they couldn't have used any other form of force to subdue the subject. Many people there wondering why authorities had to use lethal force in this situation. Again, it's a very tense scene there in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Command post is leaving. Yeah. They're probably going to the other side. Yeah, which is smart because that's going to be a target. Yeah, it's more controlled, and you don't need to have that kind of symbol. I mean, that wasn't too smart. You don't need to put a castle in the middle of it. That's what it was.
Yeah. Ready open too? Yeah.
You said us?
Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't hurt that man. You thought it hurt? No, Mom. I got to put one to Jay. You got to back
I don't know how long these batteries are going to hold out. I've got my camera batteries. I can keep going.
Listen, come here.
Okay, I can do that.
As you can see, many members of the community out in the streets there in Tulsa following the shooting death of a man who was armed with 2 knives as he entered a convenience store. Now, officers had interacted with this man earlier today when they went to his home to serve a civil pickup order. It was a mental health pickup order, and a judge would have to sign it so that officers could take this man to a mental health facility. That's when the man walks out to the convenience store armed with 2 knives. Police and the officers shot the man as they tried to enter the store. Many people here in the streets wondering why officers had to choose lethal force and why they didn't opt for a less deadly way to subdue this man. The man who died was 29 years old. Officials have not released his name. We are now looking at the scene where that shooting took place. You can see that convenience store there in the background. Many people on the street gathered. You can see police tape around the area where officers and deputies are on one of the corners at that intersection. So it's a very interesting scene here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We'll continue to stream it for as long as we have this live feed, courtesy of our sister station there in Tulsa.
Quite a bit, but you can continue to look through the scene and see people yelling at police, talking to police with their hands up. Some people just standing here, just watching it all unfold. And as I've been telling you before, emotions are still very much high. I've been hearing a lot of people reference the Terrence Crutcher shooting. I've seen a lot of people reference the Betty Shelby not guilty verdict. So these are topics that are strongly on people's minds right now as they continue to watch all of this unfold, knowing that police shot and killed someone else. As Emory said, in this particular incident, the man was carrying 2 knives when police shot him. Now, I did get a chance to speak to witnesses earlier today, and they said that police followed the man for about a quarter of a mile with those knives, and they finally shot him at that convenience store door. So a lot of people are asking if they could follow him that long during that time. Could the police have used a taser? Could they have used mace? Could they use pepper ball spray? Just a lot of questions on what else police could have done. So it'd be definitely interesting to hear police's side of the story, just to try to get an understanding of how all this unfolded and get some answers for all of the people who are standing out here right now. But in a nutshell, things have calmed down dramatically, but you never know, it could change in a matter of moments where those emotions can get high and tempers can flare up just again. And as always, we'll keep you posted and let you know. But again, things are calm. Police are on the lookout, deputies are on the lookout, and they're just kind of keeping the scene together for the time being. Back to you, Dave. There hasn't been really any hand-to-hand violence. I will say earlier today there were people crossing the policing tape, crossing the line, and we saw police tell folks, do not throw anything over this line. And as soon as they said that, people started throwing cans and other things. But that's the closest clash that I've seen between the community and police. Now, I will say there were a bit of, I guess for lack of better words, skirmishes in the crowd that other people in the community kind of broke down and dispersed for them.
Hello.
I'm sorry we're not getting any sound for you.
No. We ain't taking it lying down this
Jenny.
time.
They're dying for sound.
They want a soundbite? Well,
can you get Leland over there? Can you get somebody? It's like,
they want a live interview?
Yes. We're not going to do a live interview over here.
Yeah, I don't.
No, you bring one person over here,
And it's on. It's on.
Yeah, you can't come there. You can't come there. Wait, I missed that part. I ain't been nowhere.
I think they'd have a different point of view.
Say that again? Yes, I can.
Right, as you can see, deputies there at the scene. They are blocked off by police tape there. They are in one corner of this intersection while community members fill the streets and gather on the corners of this intersection where this convenience store was located and where a 29-year-old man was shot and killed by officers, that man armed with 2 knives. Now, according to the reporter there at the scene, officers followed this man for about a quarter of a mile before they chose to shoot him. And that is what is leaving witnesses very concerned, witnesses wondering why they didn't use a different kind of force to subdue this man. Many people bringing up the Terrence Crutcher police shooting. In case you don't know what shooting that is, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some background information. This happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A 40-year-old black man shot by Officer Betty Shelby. He was unarmed during the encounter when he was standing near his vehicle in the middle of the street. This shooting got national attention last year. Crutcher, a 40-year-old man, was standing by his vehicle. Police say that Crutcher kept reaching into his pockets, refusing to show his hands, and walked towards his vehicle despite being told to stop. He then angled towards them and reached into his vehicle. Critics, however, have disputed this, as video and photographic evidence seems to contradict this, showing Crutcher's blood streaking the driver's side window from top to bottom after the shooting and indicating it was closed. Now, police dash cam and helicopter video as well as the dispatch audio were released by police in September of 2016. Tulsa Police Chief Jordan called the video disturbing and difficult to watch. The officers involved were placed on paid administrative leave. The United States Department of Justice opened a civil rights probe into that shooting. The Tulsa DA charged that officer with first-degree manslaughter. Just a few weeks ago, last month, May 17th, a jury found that officer not guilty.
I don't know where Emory and Newsom are. No, they're on the other side.
Where it's not really any people over there, yeah.
Yeah, they're not. So we're not in the middle.
Yeah, we're right here in the middle.
Don't be starting at my Amy. She ain't got no good.
I mean, their biggest threat right now is yeah, they're not in anything. That's all they're gonna have to worry about. No, Emory and Newsom.
Oh, yeah.
We got all kinds. I know Newsom doesn't carry any deed in his car. We gotta watch this. Sometimes they tend to get a little high. Younger. Oh yeah. It's just testosterone. Without waiting a bus.
Potsy over there. Looks like they have Potsy over there. I think that's over there in that corner.
Oh, probably.
Are you talking to me? Okay.
Another thing I don't understand. You had the Tulsa Friday. Where's our black people's reparation money that y'all stole?
Who running the damn police station? Shit, who running that motherfucker? Shit, who running the motherfucking sheriff department right now? Everybody heard? Shit. We go rob banks. Hey, Bridget, I'm behind you. No, it ain't nobody. Oh, they got sticks to beat us with now? Yeah.
Absolutely. We've seen a lot of people with their phones out, video recording all of this, just walking up and down the street, just kind of talking about what they're seeing, similar to what you see us doing, just telling folks what's happening on their social media accounts. As Emery mentioned, there hasn't been any recent outburst of anger or any tempers, but emotions, I would say, are still very much high. We still have a lot of people in the street yelling at police and yelling expletives, and just more and more cars showing up. We've seen people driving up and down the street. So I don't see this situation calming down anytime soon. As I mentioned before, there's still a lot of police presence. The crowd at one point started to disperse, but it looks like more people are starting to show up, and they're just kind of standing here waiting to see what happens, to see. I'm not really sure what the ultimate goal is, if they're waiting for police to break this down and clear the scene, or if they just want a moment to be able to just express themselves and let deputies and police know how they feel about seeing these types of shootings happening in their community over and over again. So yes, Dave, you see people with their cell phones out taking pictures, doing Facebook Live, posting to social media. You have crews, or you have people on every corner kind of following those same practices. And so as we talked about the people who are standing out here and their emotions are really, really high, we keep looking back over at the police, and in an opposing type of emotional state, police are just kind of standing there, just keeping watch. We haven't seen any back and forth between officers and law enforcement. They've been kind of just standing there and just taking all of the yells, taking all of the curse words as they just sit here and just try to keep everything safe. So we haven't seen any major outbursts or anything. Of course, like I mentioned before, emotions are high. People are definitely angry. As I mentioned, they are tired of seeing this happen in their community. And so, as I mentioned before, they keep asking, well, why did it have to be lethal force? Could the police officers use mace? Could they have used a taser? Could they use a pepper ball spray? So these are questions that are asked by the community every time we see a shooting like this. But as those emotions are high, they're still not getting those answers. But I think it gives some of the people here a little bit of peace to be able to just have those questions and to say that to police, whether they get an answer or not. So police are just standing here, kind of keeping watch over the scene. The crowd is continuing to grow. The police presence is continuing to grow. And we're just waiting to see what the ultimate conclusion is, if police clear out the scene or if the people will clear it out first.
April 46, the Black Panthers here tomorrow. Retired. Reverend Sharp said he tired. Yeah. We're gonna do some shit. Black Panthers be here tomorrow from Dallas, Texas. Y'all meet up here. 46 tomorrow at 12 o'clock. We're gonna go talk to what. That's right.
I might reference that. I forgot all about it. He wasn't even fearing for our life. He was trying to catch the body. You ready to catch one too, don't you?
No path. Huh?
Yeah, real shit.
Looks like they're breaking down, guys. Well, it looked like they were packing up a little bit, but wait a second. Never mind. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do see a guy with...
Don't touch it. Don't ever touch it again. I'm serious.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm trying not
You
to.
need to break that habit.
I know. See, I turn the mic off all the
It's going
time.
to hurt us real bad someday.
I've just gotten used to just turning it off.
I don't care what any other photog says. Don't ever turn off a mic.
Okay.
I don't care what they say.
Where they're going to take us next, they said.
We are going to get burned real bad someday. Just leave it on. I don't care how many batteries I use. And my supervisor doesn't either. I'm going to start on the shot of this guy with the binoculars.
And the judge had just signed some papers for them to pick him up. Hold on for a minute. Hold on, my grandbaby calling. Let me call you back. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Huh? Really?
Oh yeah, I've had several indications that people know who it is. Some people have said that, you know, the guy may have had some type of mental instability. Some people have even said he might have had some drugs involved. Of course, none of that confirmed by police. But while we've been standing out here, we've seen several people, one lady screaming, "That's my nephew," another person screaming, "That's my cousin." So I'm sure there's somebody in this crowd, or at least there was at some point, who knew who the victim was. And then of course you had the witnesses. We got a chance to speak to a witness earlier who said they recognized the person from the neighborhood, and so definitely they know who he is. I think the family knows. We've seen several people say that. So it's just an evolving situation. Of course, in the community, people know each other, know one another, and so a lot of the condolences are going out to the man who was killed, to his mother, because from my understanding, when all of this was happening, someone ran or drove to go get his mother to try to bring him here to de-escalate the situation, but they said before she got here, police had already shot and killed the man. So they say his mother is very distraught right now, and this is all coming from witness people I spoke to on the scene who kind of saw it all unfold. One woman who said she actually talked to it. And just as another side note, since we've been standing out here, we actually got this flyer. It's called a Community Stop the Killing and Start the Healing flyer. Just coincidentally, this event is scheduled for tomorrow. It's scheduled for tomorrow. It starts at, I believe, 10 o'clock at Chamberlain Park, and then it goes from, it starts at 12 to 5 o'clock. So just a coincidence that they had this rally already planned one day after the shooting. So just a really interesting connection of how all of this comes together. A lot of people calling for community unity, calling for community policing, and calling for support. And so at this particular event, based on this flyer, there's going to be speakers, entertainment, volleyball, basketball, singers, and just everything to try to bring the community together in light of what's happened here. One of the top things people are talking about is the Terrence Crutcher case involved, and as well as the Betty Shelby verdict. And that's only been a couple of weeks ago, and now you have this additional shooting. So you have a lot of tempers that are really, really high, a lot of people angry, and the constant question is, what about the community? What about community policing? How are we going to work together? How are we going to talk to law enforcement to keep situations like this from happening? So I see now people have shown up with signs because the signs are on the other direction. I believe one sign says, "Don't shoot," and there's another sign, "Police officers." I can't really make it out because it's backwards, but you see some people have shown up with some signs. I know the smallest one says, "Don't shoot." So definitely a continuously evolving situation out here with every corner changing dramatically within just minutes time. So we may I'll try to look and see what those signs say at some point, but based on my angle or based of, from where my vantage point is, I can't really make out what they say, but, I see more and more people showing up with those signs and people yelling. So just a continuously evolving situation, Dave. You're welcome.
Going on.
Yeah.
The cops start dispersing, some of these people might leave.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're only here because all these cops are here.
Yeah.
And see, whoever this is, he's just egging them on.